anything and everything you want to know in life, somebody's already doing it. Just get exposed to that person and to the way they do things and watch how your life change.
Our guest today is Jemal King, and he's one of the fastest growing personal development teachers in the world right now, and for good reason. His story from going from NFL prospect to working as a Chicago police officer for 22 years on the force while creating several multi-million-dollar businesses and helping to impact the lives of countless people and teaching them everything that he knew to go from having this job, this 9 to 5, and still finding a way to create the life of your dreams. He's truly a story of what's possible, and learning from folks like Jemal is truly a gift. So let's jump into this conversation with the amazing Jemal King. My man, Jemal King. So grateful for you, brother, man. I'm pumped for you. Very excited to have you back on the show. How you doing, man? Well, first of all, this is different. We doing this remote this time.
I know, right? This is crazy, bro.
We're live for everybody who's watching the video. We're live in person in the King Mansion. You know, he's got the podcast set up there at home. Man, so much has changed even in the last couple of years, man. And you've just been a continuous inspiration. I think, did we actually first meet? Was that on the cruise, on the Phenomenal Life cruise, when we met face to face the first time?
It was. Yeah, that was the first time, bro. It was at the Phenomenal Life cruise.
And you told me a story. You told me a story that day about your son that we got to share today too, man. But of course, I'm having you back on today because we are at a very different time in human history. You know, like this time is a lot of turbulence. There's a lot of uncertainty. And you are one of the people who's been a real superhero for so many people in demonstrating how to create certainty in your life, despite what's going on in the world around you. You know, so that's why I'm so excited to have you back on, man. But first and foremost, I want to ask you about, let's go back and talk a little bit about your superhero origin story. Because the thing about you, man, that's so unique is that you're not one of those folks who is like pressing people to quit their job and work on their dream. As a matter of fact, you got a whole different approach to it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, bro. Well, first off, man, look, thank you for having me back on again. It's been crazy ever since I was on the show last time, man. I mean, the response was overwhelming. I don't even think I was prepared for it, man. I was still working as a police officer at that time. And so it's crazy. You know, I always say that, you know, when you're in the picture, you know, when you're in the picture, it's hard to see the frame, you know, it's hard. So I didn't really think my story was that special. And it just took from other people, man, to actually tell me how special my story was. You know, I was just grinding, bro. You know, I'm blue collar, right? I came from a family where my father was a police officer for 30 years. My mother, she's a Cook County sheriff over 20 years. My brother, police officer. My sister was a dispatcher giving us our calls. You know, I always say, Shawn, that I come from a family of either cops or criminals. You know, half of the family they took the other route, and then the other half took the law enforcement route. And, bro, just growing up, man, I respected the police. I respected law enforcement. You know, of course, the police department put food on our table. You know, the police department that was everything that we knew. You know, my parents would only hang around police officers. And so the children of the police officers were my friends. And so, but I just wanted different, man. It was one thing that I noticed, Shawn, with the police department, everything was the same. It was like the houses that we lived in were the same. The cars everybody drove were the same. You know, even all of the children went to the same school. The paychecks, bro, even in the police department, the paychecks, they put the paychecks all in one box and is in alphabetical order. And if you look at everybody, when you scrolling through just to look for your check, you notice each check is only a difference of maybe a couple $100. And so it's like, bro, I made 20 arrests this week. My man over here, he was just sitting down at Dunkin' Donuts eating donuts all day. Why is it that I only got paid $100 more than he did? You know, I save people lives. And so I just noticed how with the police department growing up, that everything was just the same in my community. And I just wanted different, man. I just always wanted different. And so, you know, I remember telling my dad at a young age, you know, my dad asked each one of the siblings, he used to do this thing. It was called, you know, career day, or what you want to be when you grow up. And like I said, he he asked my siblings, and everybody said that my older sister said she wanted to be a teacher. My brother said he wanted to be a cop, just like my dad. And my little sister, she was 4 years old at the time. She said she wanted to be a teacher, just like her big sister. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because, Shawn, every one of my siblings, every one, are doing exactly what they proclaimed at a young age. Every one of my siblings. And that's why I tell people, man, be careful on what you speak in life. Be careful with the words that's coming out of your mouth, good or bad, because they might just take form in your life in a natural form. And so at that time for me, I remember I was the only sibling that did not declare a job, right? I didn't declare a job. I declared a way of life. I said, Dad, I want to become a millionaire. And just like my siblings, how my older sister said she wanted to be a teacher, my brother said he wanted to be a cop, and my little sister said she wanted to be a teacher, I said I wanted to become a millionaire. And the same way I said whatever they said, they still are to this day, I became a millionaire. Matter of fact, I became a multimillionaire. So I spoke that word over my life. And so, but at that time, bruh, my dad was like, whoa, he never heard anybody say that he, wanted to be a millionaire. And so he asked me, and this was the first time, Shawn, that somebody really had me look past a career or look past just a profession, where he said, okay, son, being a millionaire is great, but how? That word, how? And then how are you going to get your millions? And then when he said that, I saw multimillionaire as a destination, but now I needed a vehicle to get to that destination. And so at a young age, bro, and I see people now, man, even in life, bro, grown people, they struggle with that one thing between a vehicle and a destination, right? A lot of people. So like my brother said, he wanted to be a police officer. That was his destination.
Right.
And his vehicle. So therefore, you get a lot of people, what I noticed, you get a lot of people on their 9-to-5s, they kind of sit back and they get depressed. They're sitting back and they're wondering how come life is not the way they planned it to go. And I tell people all the time, it's because you made your vehicle your destination and you made your destination your vehicle, when the two are completely separate. And so for me, my vehicle was going to be football. And man, because I used to see Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson and,
prime time.
Me at prime time. He had the Too Legit to Quit going on. And I was like, man, I want that kind of life. I used to always see him. He just looked happy. I remember he used to have his chair. Yeah, everything just looked good. And I said, man, I want that kind of life. Well, I was around a lot of blue collar people, bro, and they would go to work and come back home, cracking open a beer, not even get out their uniform, man. And they just seemed like they was just tired all the time. They seemed like they were tired. And the crazy part is, Shawn, not only did they seem like they were tired, but they used to always seem like they were disgruntled. And I used to always wonder, like, if you hate this job so much, why are you getting up every day and going to this job? I used to just wonder that. I never understood it. People that hated their job would go to the same job every single day. I seen people for years, bro, complain about the amount of money they were getting paid. But yet they was getting up, going to the same place every day, not doing nothing different. It seemed like the hamster wheel, where you just like literally going around and around, spinning your wheel and not making any progress in life.
But this is one of the things I got to jump in real quick that you talk about, that you really helped to even enlighten me at another level of exposure, because a lot of those folks were doing the same thing they were seeing other people do and not really knowing that there's a bigger way, a better way. And you making your vehicle was going to be through football. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. It was going to be through football, bro. And like I said, I started playing football at a young age, man. I was going to football camps. I was doing everything humanly possible to make my dreams come a reality. And then, all state in high school, got to college, was starting team captain. And, bro, I was at the front door of success. I'm talking about, Shawn. I was like, man, this is too easy. I'm about to realize while my brothers and sisters all in college getting their bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and all of this other degree stuff. I was like, man, look, I'm about to make it to the NFL. I was already asking my mother, what kind of house she wanted, what kind of car she wanted. I was asking my dad, Dad, what you want? I had it all figured out, bro. But then, just like the other 99% of athletes, I didn't make it. Only 1% makes it to the NFL for a reason. Only 1%. And at that time, bro, that's when I was suffering from what I told you before. I was suffering from PTSD. I was suffering from post-traumatic sports disorder. And I lost my identity, bro. When I say I lost my identity, and so many other people lose their identity, not even just athletes, but if you look at just the 9-to-5ers, If you ask somebody, who are you? They tell you what they do for a living. I'm Dr. So-and-so, so-and-so, or I'm Officer King. People identify with their profession.
Yeah.
But Shawn, what happens to you when that profession is taken away? Who do you become? Who are you?
Lost.
And that's why people, you're lost. People go into depression, man. And that's why, later on, I never wanted to identify just with my job. It's more to you than just your job. And so at that point, man, when I didn't make it to the NFL, I did what was familiar to me. Just like we just talked about exposure. I was exposed to the police way of life. And, it was easy to me. When somebody else might say, hey, they want to become a cop. Oh, this is so hard. Nobody in my family is a police officer. Everybody. This was the one thing. I mean, when I didn't have anything left, when I didn't make it to the NFL, my parents stepped in and they were just like, oh, you can go to the police department. I didn't really want to do it, but I didn't have anything else, man, in front of me. Like so many other people. Like, bruh, the education system is so jacked up. It's like they ask you at 17 years old, they ask you, what do you want your major to be? What do you want your major to be? And then you're supposed to declare a major. You're supposed to declare what job you want to work for the rest of your life. At 17, 18 years old, man. And I'm like, I didn't have a clue. I majored in like sociology or something like that. And it's crazy because I didn't even know what a sociologist, actually did.
At 17, years old, when you're supposed to decide these things, you barely know anything about life. I never even thought about that till you just said it right now. And we're supposed to make this life-altering decision on the direction that we want to go.
Bro, you know what they should do? As opposed to asking you, like, what's your job? Like, what career path do you want? They should ask you, like, what's your destination in life? They should have kids literally say where they want to go in life and not asking them what vehicle do you want to take. Because when you're asking a person what job do you want, what career path do you want to take, that's actually asking a person what vehicle, because your job is nothing more than a vehicle. It's not the destination. So why don't they ask you what's your destination? And then if they ask you what's your destination, now we can pair up what vehicle you need to take to get to that destination. So the school system, bro, is so backwards, man. And so, so at that point, man, I started working as a police officer and I didn't like it, man. I didn't like it at all. I felt out of place. It's just like many 9-to-5ers, people that get a certain career, I literally felt out of place. It was something about it where it just didn't feel like me. This was, because I think I was buying into the culture of the police department. Everybody started working part-time jobs. I tried to Shawn for like 2 weeks. I worked a part-time job at a high school for 2 weeks after I got off work. And this was just the weirdest thing, bro. I just felt out of place. And it didn't sit right in my spirit, man. And so I think those words came back to my remembrance, though, when my dad asked me a long time ago, how are you going to get to become a millionaire? Like, how are you going to do it? At that moment, I said football, because that's what was familiar to me from looking at the likes of Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson. But then I remembered that was just a vehicle. The destination is still the same. Why does the destination have to change just because the vehicle broke down? The vehicle don't have to look. Football was just a vehicle. Yeah, all right, cool. It was a Lamborghini, right? It was a convertible. It was beautiful. Oh man, I'm gonna drive. I can drive this thing, and I'm gonna drive in style. People gonna wave at me. People gonna want to take pictures on my way to my destination. But yet, it's still a vehicle. And yeah, so what? The police department, it don't look as pretty as the NFL. It's not a Lamborghini. Matter of fact, the police department was like a Toyota Camry at the time.
Camry, that dependable Camry.
It's dependable, bro. It will start up every single day. It'll never fail you. Matter of fact, a Camry does real good on gas too. And that's what the police department was for me. It was that dependable thing that I can know that will start up. I know that no matter what is going to show up for me. And I knew that I can take it. It's going to go slow. But I know eventually it's going to get me to the point to when maybe I can get another vehicle. What's crazy is how you look at a person's garage. Most people have more than one car. And it's like, all right, cool. Why do you have more than one car when you can only drive one at a time? And so in that same way, why should I only have one job? Why should I only be bringing in one income? It's nothing wrong with me getting several incomes to get to my destination. And that's what I did, man. But I needed another vehicle. And at that point, I just looked around and I got exposed to different people along the way. And so I got started in real estate. And I said, real estate is going to be my other vehicle. But
this is great.
But I was not going to get rid of that dependable Toyota Camry sitting in the garage. I was going to still drive that car, but yet real estate was my shiny, nice little convertible that I would just take out when me and my wife want to dress up. But yet every single day when I wanted to get dirty, every single day when I needed to go to Home Depot and grab some stuff and just put it in the car, I knew that Camry, the police department, would always be there for me.
Man, this is so good. Again, a lot of us, you are somebody who is just taking off in this space because people can really identify with you, if I could put that best, because in this space of like personal development and growing our financial wellness, there's this tendency towards like, you need to take that Camry and drive it off the cliff so you can get your, and you're like, man, actually this Camry can be a vehicle that's going and doing its thing. And we can also have these other vehicles along the way. So you provide this sense of certainty for folks that they can still get to their destination while maintaining their 9-to-5 job. Thus, you are the 9-to-5 millionaire, man. And ultimately, and I got to be 100. I don't know if you really thought you are arguably the wealthiest police officer in America. Like that is profound. And all this time, though, as you're telling your story, when you mentioned Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, for me, as I'm going to college, my perspective, my exposure was the Cosby Show, right? Okay, I'm going to be a doctor like Cliff Huxtable. I'm going to get into, and then because I wasn't connected to that thing, like on top of asking, like, what is our destination? Also, like, what is your interest? Like, what are you interested in? Maybe we could play around with that and find some things that connect. I wasn't interested in science, ironically, And so my other reference point was Eddie Murphy, Boomerang, right? But the funny thing, man, and I've shared this, I think I might have mentioned this once on the show, that over the years, no matter what I was doing, no matter what my goal was, it still had an aspect of entertainment to it. I used to, when I was in the 4th grade, I had straight A's. I was doing everything I was doing, on paper, but I would get in trouble. I kept getting into trouble in the class. It was easy for me, man. Like it was just, But looking back, like I didn't know I was being bad, just because I was quote bored. But my teacher, I was so bad. Miss Norman made a deal with me that if I behave, every Friday at the end of school, she'd give me 20, 30 minutes to stand up in front of the class and I could do whatever I wanted. I could tell jokes.
Oh, wow.
I could sing, I could dance, whatever I wanted to do and entertain. And man, every Friday, sure enough, man, I messed up like once. But I got to get up in front of everybody and just express myself because ultimately that's something that's a thread of connective tissue for me, And so I knew that my spirit knew that somehow I was going to be doing that. For me, the vehicle has been health and science, So those things got married together. But this goes back to that conversation of exposure. And I appreciate you so much for giving all of us this exposure to this knowledge. And I want to ask you about in making this pivot. You mentioned that early on, like even in this process, when you were starting to kind of get indoctrinated into the full force of the shield, and you start to see yourself straying away from your own practices of your health. You started to see the practices going on with the other officers. And there's this space that you found, the hole, if you could talk about that, where you were able to leverage your time. Because I know a lot of people are thinking, okay, wait a minute. If I'm working so hard, I've got my full-time job, how on earth am I able to do this? How on earth was he able to create this fortune while working a 9-to-5 job?
Yeah, bro. Hey, the hole is a crazy place, man. So I'll paint the picture for you. In the police department, I know you usually see squad cars. Wherever city you live in, you see squad cars sometimes just posted up, not moving. They're just sitting around. That right there is called the hole. It's where a police officer is just downtime. And you just want to get away from the public side. But what I noticed, man, in the hole, every time I would go there, that they would always say, hey, Jemal, why don't you come on over here with us, man? We just about to sit up and talk or watch some movies or listen to music. They always say, we're about to go somewhere and kill time. Bro, that word, kill time. Why is it that you're trying to kill the one thing that any man on their deathbed wish they had more of? What the only thing I've never heard a person on their deathbed say they wish they had more money. I never heard of the person on their deathbed wish they said they created more businesses. The one thing that everybody wished, and where everybody got it in common, they wished they had more of was time. But yet, police officers would sit up every single night, Shawn, and say, hey, let's kill some time. Kill time. Kill time. And so, man, at first I used to just look and say, like, man, there's so much wasted time. It's so many other things that we could be doing right now. And so I would start going to the gym and I would just start working out, while my partner would sit in the car and listen to music every single night. And the crazy part was the radio stations would play the same songs. They literally would play the same songs. They would have to during the same hours. And it would be like a surprise to him. Every single night, Shawn, he'll be listening, then the same song will come on that will grab his attention. He'd be like, oh, that's my jam. And I'll be like, bruh, every single day they play the same song in the same hour and you say the same thing. And then I would have my other partner. He would have his bootleg DVDs, DVDs at the time, the bootlegs. And he would watch the same movies, man. He would sit there and laugh at the same parts. And I'm like, bruh, I had another partner that would go to Dunkin' Donuts, man, all the time. And I would sit there and I would just be observant. And he would always order the same thing. But, bruh, he would look at the menu like it was his first time looking at the menu. He would be like, he would be sitting there and he would walk in, man. He used to carry 2 guns. And he would look around and let me get that large coffee with extra cream and extra sugar. And I would sit there. He would do that every single day, bruh. 5 days a week, bruh, for over 20 years. And I used to say, man, imagine what's happening to his body with all the sugar he's putting in. Imagine what's happening I was just thinking like, okay, even though they're at work, there's still something that could be done during this time. If you could be watching a movie, a DVD every single night, then you could be listening to personal development every single night. If you could sit here and be listening to the radio every single night, just the same songs every single night, there's something else you could be studying or reading that can educate you, that can take your mind away, that can build something else for you. If you can sit here and eat Dunkin' Donuts every single night and drink a large coffee with extra cream and extra sugar every single night, then you can go take a 30-minute workout break or a 45-minute workout break in the station and actually get on the treadmill for 45 minutes. What will it do? Because I seen how that same officer that was eating the Dunkin' Donuts or drinking that coffee, and even though he was getting the Splendor sugar, he thought that doing that was he always thought that was gonna make it better. The people that get the Diet Pepsi every single night. And so I'm like, bro, if you saw how his body just over time, just start bloating up. If that's the reaction from drinking a cup of coffee with a lot of sugar every single day, then what's the opposite? It's like what I found out, Shawn, is that life is all about what you do, how you utilize your time. What do you do with your time? And so when I was in a hole, Shawn, I would say, man, look, I'm going to take this time and I'm going to go around and look at properties. I'm going to go. So all these vacant properties in the neighborhood that people are complaining about, you got drug dealers going in these vacant properties. You got kids going in these vacant properties. You got all kind of crimes taking place. And since I was a police officer, I found a way to go to these vacant properties and check on these vacant properties. So that was my job, right? To check on these vacant properties to make sure that no crime was taking place. But now outside of the job, I was actually looking at these vacant properties and seeing if I could purchase these things. How could I renovate these properties? And so I figured like I was killing 2 birds with 1 stone because I was buying these properties and I was securing the properties in a community. But at the same time, I was fixing these properties up and bringing up the value in the area. So I figured I was doing real change in the community. I was utilizing my time. And then you hear people always say that there's not enough hours in a day. But that's what being a 9-to-5 millionaire is all about. It's you have time. You have time. You're just not utilizing your time in the right way. Yeah. And so that's what it was all about. So when I was in a hole, I would go in, man. I would make sure that every single minute, I got to the point where I would listen to, while my partner was listening to the radio, I would be having my earphones in and I would listen to Eric Thomas. I would be listening to Les Brown. I would be listening to so much motivational stuff. On the way to a call, I would be listening to different motivational speakers and just taking my mind somewhere else. And so there's somebody that's listening right now that's saying, okay, on my job, I don't have time. You have it. You have a hole. It's a point in your job where you actually have a hole where you can go in and you can read, you can listen into stuff, you can better yourself. And so that's what being in the hole is all about. Everybody got a hole, but the successful people maximize their time spent in the hole.
Man, I literally got the chills, man. When you said you was listening to E.T. in your headphones, you know, listening to that, listening to Les Brown, and now where you are right now, man, you know, like that exposure, it created an intersection, and you truly do become what you expose yourself to, you know, that exposure, especially if it's intentional. We met at that collision point where, you know, on paper, again, coming from where we come from, we shouldn't be sharing the stage with the greatest motivational speaker in the world. But we were, and we were invited into it. You know what I mean? It wasn't even like, hey, look at me. It was, we became the people. We became the people necessary, the character necessary to have that intersection, you know? And it just speaks volumes to everybody listening right now. As you're listening, please understand that these moments are literally programming and changing every cell in your body. And you are becoming it. It's becoming a part of you, you know? So these are the messages to tune yourself into right now more than ever. When there's so much chaos, when there's so much going on in the world that's uncertain, you can gain a modicum of certainty by taking control of your mind, taking control of your time and your attention. And so, man, right now, and by the way, I'm going to give everybody a preview of what's to come, but your partnership with E.T. and the team, and E's been on the show. He's like one of our most repeated guests, you know, always welcome, such a, you know, inspiration for so many people. But they created an incredible brand that it's not just with the motivational speaking, but also their impact in the school system, also their impact in music. One of their artists is one of the top artists in the world right now, you know, Toby. And with you coming to the team, and you guys, this is the thing about ETA. They just can't do stuff average. And so I just listened to your brand new audiobook, and it is a freaking adventure. It is so good. I mean, I didn't know. I got to say that I didn't know what to expect, except like I knew it would be good, but I didn't know it would be like that, you know? And just like the juice. Wow. It's not even juice. It's sauce. Yeah. It's got the sauce. The sauce has the staying power. You know, sauce sticks around much longer. The juice is temporary, you know, but it has that sauce, man. It's so powerful. And you just wrote your first book, and now it's coming out right now as everybody's listening. It's just been released this week. It is a must-have. It is an absolute must-have. Not only the story and the inspiration, but the insights, the tips, the tactics, all of the tangible things that we can put into our lives right now to get where we really want to go. And the honesty, the level of honesty that you bring about, it's incredible, man. So just big congratulations to you, man.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And what I want to say, man, is that, you know, I always say that your level of exposure will determine your level of success. Somebody that's listening, please don't just write that down. Don't just write it down. Like, tattoo that to your memory. You know, your level of exposure will determine your level of success. I am living proof of it, Shawn. I'm living proof of it. Like you said, I never asked E.T. to speak. I just went to the conferences, and I went VIP. I stayed in the front row. That's how I got noticed, right? I got noticed just by going to the conferences and just getting that exposure. I remember when first time I got on the stage, man, I got in front of thousands of people, right, with E.T., and I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I'm not ready for this. Like, man, I'm a police officer. Like, I'm not ready for this. Like, but then when I went out there, it was something about it, man. It was something about that. It just seemed familiar. I didn't even have to get, you know, coached up, or I didn't have to go start off speaking at the local PTA. I literally went from the squad car to the stage. But the reason why I was able to go from the squad car to the stage is because my level of exposure is the number one motivational speaker in the world. So the worst case scenario, I'm supposed to get on the stage and I'm supposed to kill it. Look who I'm connected to. But on the flip side, Eric Thomas has never invested in real estate until he met me. Now E.T., as far as with me and E.T., so E.T. just built a mansion in San Diego. Now E.T. he owns over 15 properties along with me now. And we did all of that in 1 year. So he's supposed to. E.T. is supposed to kill it in real estate right now. Why? Because his level of exposure is Jemal King. See, exposure is a two-way street. And that's why I tell people all the time, your level of exposure will always determine your level of success. Who are you hanging with? Who are you being exposed to? You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to go get a master's degree, a doctorate degree, or whatever kind of degree exists. All you got to do is get exposed to it. Get exposed to the right people. And unconsciously, you're going to start seeing that exposure literally take precedence in your life. Exposure, bruh, the exposure I received from ET and being around ETA, being around CJ, being around you, being around this crew was so great, bruh. It was so great that I could not deny it. I couldn't deny it, even if I didn't want to become a speaker. It was just so great that I had to do it, man. And so whenever I get on the stage, I don't care if it's in front of 5 people, one person, 5,000 people. It's my duty and my responsibility to always bring the fire. Why? Because of the exposure level that I've received, bro. And so, man, that's just a big point, man. I need people to just remember, go after, I tell people all the time, you need to go after exposure like most broke people go after liabilities. Every time people they go after liabilities like crazy. Oh, man, I got to buy this. I got to buy that. I got to buy this. Go after exposure like that. I got to get exposed to this. I got to get exposed to that. Anything and everything you want to know in life, somebody's already doing it. Just get exposed to that person and to the way they do things and watch how your life change.
Absolutely, man. Dude, you know what? I was sitting around and talking with CJ about you early on. You know, I was like, we were just kind of talking about how is he so good so fast? And this is what people see on the outside. You know, they see this, it seems like overnight success, but it is far from that, man. It's been all of those days, all of those hours, all of those minutes invested in yourself and growing yourself as a person, you know. And also we had that inflection point. Like I mentioned, it's always been there. And this is with everybody. We have this greatness within us for so much. And it's just looking back. Sometimes it's like our childhood, you know, like I was getting in front of the class and performing. And for you, you were there motivating your football team. You was the captain of the team. It's been there for a long time. And sometimes we can suppress it. We can suppress it and act like it's not there. We can suppress it. We can get distracted, I think is an even better term. And we can forget that it's there, but I promise you it's there. And again, thank you so much for reminding us of that. I want to talk about that remarkable story when we first met, because this isn't just about the financial wellness that you've created, because your great-grandchildren are straight already, you know, but this is in every area of our lives, and how that intention and walking in a certain direction with that level of intention can play out in literally every area of our lives. And for you, that was with your son. Can you tell that story that you shared with me?
Yeah, bro, man, it got to the point, you know, I became a millionaire at age 26, right? And I was able to buy myself and buy my wife anything and everything that we want, right? My wife would say she wants something and boom, I'm going to get it. And it was no problem, no issue. You know, after a while, I started depending on my finances, right? I started depending on the things that I can physically touch and physically purchase. But it got to the point where for the first time in my life, I wasn't able to get something. This was something that money wasn't able to buy. And that was the birth of a son. I wanted a son. Everything about me since a young age, since the time I proclaimed that I wanted to be a millionaire, the other thing I might have said right after that is I want a son, you know, with my same name. And I think every man gets to that point where, you know, they want a son. And, you know, I had 2 daughters and I love my daughters. I couldn't imagine life without them. And so, but I still felt like the family was incomplete without the son. And man, I mean, bruh, when we had our daughters, it happened instantly, bruh. I'm talking about it happened like I touched my wife's shoulder and she was like, oh, I'm pregnant. So I knew exactly the time and the place and the day when both of my daughters were realized. But with my son, it was something different, bro. I'm talking about we were trying it first for a year. And, of course, everybody was in our corner, friends and family, everybody. Oh, yeah, y'all going to have a son. And then all of a sudden, after a year went by, we started noticing people drop off our circle, our tribe. They started dropping off. And then all of a sudden, those same people who was encouraging us, they went from saying, why don't y'all just be happy with the 2 kids you got? You got 2 beautiful girls. Why don't y'all just be happy? And then all of a sudden you start, hearing the naysayers. You start seeing people belief levels just start falling off. And, some of these people were trusted people, right? Family members and different friends, close friends. And then all of a sudden, but it was just still me and my wife. And we still shoulder to shoulder, still believing. And then all of a sudden, man, in year number 4, it was like, my wife, was kind of like, wow, this is, this is hard. I still remember, Shawn, I think we was out at dinner and my wife was just like, I'm ready to get on with my life. And I was like, no, not you, not you, like everybody else can, Shawn, everybody else can stop believing. Everybody. I don't care about nobody else. But I need you to still believe. And she was just like, I believe. I'm just tired. And I understood, right? I understood. So I'm not trying to say that I didn't understand her point of view or anything like that. But it got to the point where I had to make a decision. Was I going to just sit back and fall off like everybody else? Was I going to sit back and get tired like my wife did? Or was I going to stand up and go in? And so at that point, bro, that's when I like to say, Shawn, that I just developed this crazy faith. See, there's a difference between faith and crazy faith. See, crazy faith is when you sit back and you just no longer, you don't just say, I want this, or you don't just believe for something. Crazy faith is when you actually prepare a place for the thing that you hoping for and wishing for and praying for. Crazy faith is when you show everybody connected to you that what I'm wishing for and praying for is already here. I just got to bring it forth. It already exists. And so it got to the point where I told my wife, I said, baby, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to have enough faith for both of us. And so we were renovating our home at the time. I went and not only did I fix up my girl bedrooms, but I put a boy's bedroom. I put a bedroom in the back and I said, this is going to be our son's bedroom. And I didn't just make a bedroom and say, well, just in case it's not a boy, I'm just going to leave neutral colors. I painted the room, put his name on the wall. I put a rocking chair in the corner. And I had these books, I had the Bible, and I would read scriptures in this rocking chair. And I would pretend like I was holding him. I was reading scriptures like all things are possible to him who believe. I was pretending like I was reading to him. I was sitting back, man. It got to the point, Shawn, when I was reading, I wasn't even seeing the people in the Bible's names no more. It was one scripture, man, where it was like, even though things around him seemed helpless, Abraham decided to believe anyway. Not on what God said he couldn't do, but what on God said he would do. I didn't see Abraham name no more, bruh. I saw Jemal. Even though everything was helpless, Jemal decided to believe anyway. I started to write letters to God, bruh. I started writing letters to God saying that I know that my son is not here because of you. Because of what you can't do. He's not here because of a lack of my faith. Because I read that all things are possible to him who believe. So my belief is not strong enough right now. And that's why I haven't realized my son. Bro, I started reminding God what he said he would do in my life. Bro, it went crazy. It got to the point where outside of his bedroom, notice I said his bedroom. I started talking as though he was already here. I went and I put a urinal on the wall. Then my daughters had a bathroom right down the hallway across from their bedroom, but then across from his bedroom with his name on the wall with boy clothes in the closet, I put a urinal on the wall. And I was sitting there saying, when he comes, he's going to use this washroom. This is going to be the toilet that I'm going to potty train my son. My wife, everybody at that point thought I was crazy. And I loved it. I loved that they thought I was crazy because it was at that point. It wasn't until everybody thought I was crazy that I realized my son finally. And at that point, bruh, I mean, everybody around was just like, oh man, man, oh, you just, and then now everybody want to join the bandwagon and stuff like that, man. And it was just so amazing because then all of a sudden the naysayers came out and they said, oh, when my wife was pregnant, they were saying, oh, what if it's a girl again? Well, what if it's a girl? And bruh, this book is so deep because for me, it was a son. I had to have crazy faith for my son. But how many people need crazy faith for a business that they want to start? How many people allow people around them to tell them that they crazy for starting this business? It'll never work. How many people, bro, any moment I could have bought into the lies people were telling me. I could have bought into their beliefs or the lack of. But I stayed focused, man. I kept my mind, bro, I didn't give up. And now my son, bro, is here. And every single day, man, the thing that I prayed for, Shawn, the thing that I prayed for every single day for over 5 years, I had to pray for him. And the thing that I prayed for now prays for me every single night. He puts his hand on my head. And I could have gave up. Now my son is everybody's reality. What I wish for is everybody else's reality. And that's why I tell people, man, one man's obedience is connected to so many other people's destiny. One man's obedience. How many people gave up on their dreams? How many people gave up on something? And the world is waiting on what it is that you possess. The world is waiting on you. They're waiting on your obedience to whatever it is God put in you to create, to bring to the world. Only you can do it. And the world is waiting on you. Somebody's destiny is directly connected to your obedience. And so that's why I tell people, you got to have crazy faith. When times get hard, when things don't go the way that they should, or when they don't go the way it's planned, bro, you have to have crazy faith. Unwavering faith. The world is waiting on you.
Bro, my team is over here just feeling this as well, man. Thank you so much for sharing that story. This is when we first met, and I saw the look in your eyes when you were telling the story, and I knew that there's something exceptional, not just about you, but you remind us of what the potential is within all of us, and you just said it, crazy faith. How often are we like loosely like, maybe I'll try, we'll see what happens, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
But it's also, thank you for articulating like that story with your wife. It's not saying she's given up, or saying there's anything on her. It's just like, you know what? This is about me. I can't control what anybody else does. It's benefit, it's bonus when somebody else believes too, when that happens. But what kind of faith do I have? And when you said I have enough faith for the both of us, man, that hit me. That really hit my spirit, because again, I think a lot of us too, we're looking for, we need more people to be on board with us, with our idea, with our vision. And I believe it was Common who said, first I got to believe, nobody believes until I believe me, right? When him talking about being successful, nobody believes until I believe in me. And your story is another reminder of that. And this is a time right now for us to take our faith, but not just, we got to get beyond the realm. Here on the Model Health Show, we do a lot of science. So there's a lot of rationality, logic. Some things require you going beyond rationality or beyond logic, or the common logic. I want to talk to you right now about this new project and what people can look forward to. And I want to, of course, make sure everybody goes and get a copy right now. So first of all, if you can let everybody know where they can get the book and the audio book. And also, let's talk about right now, during this time, where we need to put our attention to, with creating something exceptional. Not just like we can get by, but creating something exceptional during this time of turbulence.
Yeah. So first off, you can get the book, at 9to5millionaire.com. All right, 9to5millionaire.com. And man, I just need people to recreate the vision of your life. I think, and I'm gonna go back to when I was a kid and I told my dad that I wanted to become a millionaire. I need everybody listening, Shawn, to go back to that inner kid in them. I need you to go back to the time period when you thought that all things were possible, when you didn't even question it, when you just said that I want to just do whatever it was in the world that you wanted to do, whatever made you happy. You know, I tell people all the time, Shawn, you got one life to live. You got one life. And the crazy thing about it is, Shawn, we don't have an expiration date written on our arm. Like, we don't know when this life is going to be over with. And so I tell people, man, go back to dream again. And I think that's what this book is all about. It's allowing you to dream again. It's teaching you how to dream again while keeping your 9 to 5. Because I'm not foolish. I understand that you got bills. I understand you got responsibilities. So I'm not one of these people out here telling you, quit your job. Just step out there on faith. Just do it. No, I'm telling you, keep your job and still step out there on faith. You know, dream again, though. Don't just, and then when you dream, if your dream makes sense to other people, then go back to sleep and dream again, because that dream ain't large enough. Everything and anything in my life, Shawn, that I've ever accomplished, anything of importance, anything of any value, people once called it crazy. They told me, man, that it was crazy. It was crazy for a police officer. It was crazy for a police officer to become a millionaire in real estate. They told me that it was crazy for my wife and I to open up a chain of daycares in the inner city of Chicago. And don't you know, bruh, that them daycare centers, dog, it hasn't been 1 year in the last 13 years that they haven't made over $1 million? Over the last 13 years, but people said it was crazy. They told my brother and I it was crazy for us to start a security company with no experience in security. No experience in security. They said it was crazy. Y'all police officers, what y'all know about security company? Y'all will never be able to do it. Now our security company is one of the top security companies in the city of Chicago. They said it was crazy. Bruh, they told me that it was crazy for a police officer to get on the stage and speak with the #1 motivational speaker in the world. They said, oh, E.T. gonna have you on the stage. It's gonna be one time, and then he ain't gonna never have you on the stage again. But now I done been in more videos, shared the stage probably more than any other speaker ever with E.T., with the #1 motivational speaker in the world. So what I'm telling people and what I want the listeners to understand is that your blessing is in the craziness. Your blessing is in the craziness. Keep your 9 to 5. That's your Toyota Camry. That's the thing that's going to pay your bills. But now I need you to dream, and I need you to step out there, and I need you to have crazy faith in everything. I mean, think about it. In next 100 years or whenever you pass away, everybody is going to have the same ending, right? We all going to pass away. So it's not about the end. Don't worry about the end. It's about how you're living your life in between. It's about getting the full experience of life. So go out there, and that's what this book is showing you step by step. It's taking you through a journey of my life, but it's also helping you and guiding you to see how you can become a 9 to 5 millionaire.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My man. Listen, I cannot let you go without asking you this question, which is leaning into what you just shared. I think one of the greatest parts of our focus and our lexicon as we transition beyond this state right now, because you brought up several factors throughout this conversation that we talk about all the time. You know, the lack of success or the lack of evolution of our education system, you know, the lack of evolution of our relationship structures, the lack of evolution of our health, the lack of evolution of our financial wellness and our perspective. You touched on all of the different pieces that we talk about here. The lack of evolution in our faith, in ourselves, and in our power, and how we're connected to something so much bigger. So you've touched on all these things, man. And I think one of the biggest words moving forward is going to be diversity. You know, it's going to be diversity in our relationships, diversity in our education, diversity in what we're doing with our health, and not just like one thing. Like I work out, that I did that and I ended up failing, you know? So diversity in our financial wellness. Can you talk about that? Because you just mentioned a little bit when I last saw you at the studio, you had just started the security company. Now it's another multi-million-dollar business, you know, and you've diversified your income sources again. So can you talk about that? Because I think one of the major things that we're seeing right now is folks have been dependent on this one thing, which is, again, we can have that survival need and that survival button pushed down for sure, but it can be taken away. And then what? And just be certain this time is showing us how circumstances and people outside of you who don't know you or care about you can make a decision about what's possible for you. And we want to take back more control. So talk about diversity in our financial wellness.
Yeah, man. First off, like I say, how 9 to 5 millionaires are oxymoron, so is job security. The two just don't match, bro. You're only as secure as your company makes you, right? And so I noticed, man, if you look at people, a lot of people have, especially where you're at right now, Shawn, people probably got 3-car garages, 4-car garages, and the reason why people have 4-car garages is because they own 4 vehicles, right? So it's like, why do you have 4 vehicles? Do you have 4 vehicles because just in case one might break down, you still got another vehicle? In that same way, if you got 4 vehicles, then you definitely should have several different incomes, just in case one breaks down. I think right now what's taking place in the world, more than ever, is showing you that you definitely need more income than just what your job is giving you. The thing I love about my blue collar people, bro, is that they, society, man, is so crazy, right? Society been treating blue collar people like garbage for years, right? Been treating them less than, right? But then all of a sudden now a pandemic is taking place. And now all of a sudden the world is being shut down. But the only people, though, that is allowed to go to work is our essential workers. The essential. I love how they put a title to the name. You're essential now. You haven't been treating us like we've been essential, but now until a pandemic is taking place. And then now, while everybody else is scared to come outside, you want us still to keep America going. So now we're essential. And so I say essential workers need to make sure that they're taking care of their own families, right? Because your family is essential. If this company gets rid of you, what's going to happen to your family? What's going to happen to your lifestyle? And so this was something that I used to ask myself all the time. Or even if I pass away, what is going to happen to my children? What's to say that I can't take care of my family from the grave? And so I always wanted to have several different streams of income. And, and that's something that's actually biblical, where you have several streams because you don't know which one is going to work. And if they all work, then great. But the thing is that, who actually sets themselves up to have to depend on just one stream? You don't have to. There's nothing wrong with you receiving several streams of income. And then even within that stream of income, there's going to be several streams in one stream. And I think a lot of times people miss that. So when I first started in real estate, I was receiving rental income from my portfolio. But then all of a sudden I started to fix and flip properties. So then that was another stream inside of real estate. Now I'm teaching real estate in our Make Real Estate Real course. That's another stream in real estate. So there are several streams of income in one stream. Childcare, the same thing. We had childcare. We were receiving money for educating and taking care of people's children. But then all of a sudden, I saw how most of the people that had their children in our daycare center lived in a community. So then I started to purchase properties in that community. My teachers, they all lived in the community of where the daycares was. So then I would start buying homes and renting homes to them. Several streams in one stream, and so, yeah, man. So it's like putting a fence up, a barrier up around your family and around around your life, just in case. How many people, man, if I had $1 for every time I received a message from somebody on social media telling me that the company shut down and they got rid of them, what am I going to do? Who sets themselves up? And I tell people all the time, that's why I love real estate so much, because real estate is so passive. Real estate is passive. I got properties that I've owned for the last 20 years and I haven't been inside of them for the last 10, but my property managers have been inside of them. My property managers make sure that the properties are still going. So I find different ways of creating income sources so that if something happens to me, my family can still maintain the same level of the quality of living. And I think everybody needs to do that. You need to sit down and write that down. Just ask yourself, I ask people all the time, what's the cost of you? How much does it cost to maintain your lifestyle? And if something happened to your job, how would you still continue on with that lifestyle? And if you have a problem answering that question, then you need to reevaluate, and you need now to start creating other streams of income outside of your job.
There it is.
And that's how you become a 9-to-5 millionaire.
Yes, sir. 9to5millionaire.com to pick up the new book. The audio book is crazy. So good. It blew past my expectations for what an audio book could be, that's the nature of the team that you are part of, man. It's just like, you guys don't do anything average. You know what I mean? We don't do anything average. And I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate the time and energy that you put in when nobody else was watching. And now that everybody's watching and marveling at this, you keep pointing people back to themselves and what they're capable of, man. So I appreciate you so much, man.
Everybody got it in them, brother. Everybody got it in them. A lot of times people use their 9-to-5 against them. They use their 9-to-5 against them to suppress what's already inside of them. And what this book is going to show them is how to use your 9-to-5 to release what's inside of you, as opposed to using your 9-to-5 to suppress what's inside of you.
There it is. Where to get the book? One more time, man.
9to5millionaire.com. Guys, please, you'll get the book. You can get the audio book. It's actually a journal to go along with it. Man, it's everything that you need. Actually, I even have a implementation course to go along with that, so that you can implement the different principles and the steps to go along with your journey to become a 9-to-5 millionaire. This is bigger than just about money. This is about life. It's about your future. It's about generational wealth. It's about just everything, man. It's about the whole. It's everything wrapped up into one book.
There it is. The number 9, T-O, the number 5, millionaire.com. My man, Jemal King. Thank you, brother.
Man, thank you, bro. Thanks for having me back on, man. This is where, I want to say almost where it all started. I was on the Secret to Success podcast, but then this is when I actually got social media, and this is when, you told me something, bro. I always look at you, and it's crazy because you're a little bit younger than me, but I always say, man, I told people, man, Shawn is a visionary. You told me, man, after the last time I was on your podcast, bro, you sat there and you told me exactly what I need to do. You was like, man, 9-to-5 millionaire, Jemal King, you need to trademark your name. You kind of laid out everything. You was able to see where I was going to be today, and I kind of didn't see it for myself. And, man, I just want to thank you, man. I love your platform, bro. I love everything you stand for, man. You're a family man. You're just a good guy. I believe, and even though you got roses on your shirt, I believe in giving people their roses while they still alive. You know what I'm saying? And so I just, I just love, man. Iron sharpens iron, bro. And I love always being around and talking with good brothers like yourself. That's something else that's in the book. It's called the 9th mile mentality. When you're training for the race, when you're preparing yourself, even though your friends, your family members, even though they start the race off with you, when you're running a marathon, when you get to that 9th mile, people fall off. Why? Because they haven't trained like you. They haven't prepared you like you. And so I met you on the 9th mile, bro. I met you. I met E on the 9th mile. I met CJ on the 9th mile. People that was running the same pace as me. People that prepared like me, people that trained like me. And so we all now running this race together, man. So, bro, I appreciate you. And, man, there's no other person, bro, that I would want my circle to be running next to, man, than yourself, man.
Man, I love that, bro. Thank you so much. I received that. And listen, I'm just grateful to be a part of your incredible story, man. And again, everybody, go check out the new book. The audio book is crazy. 9to5millionaire.com. Jemal King, everybody. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. And today's episode is really important to me because I wanted to provide another source of inspiration and another reminder of how powerful you are to affect change in your life and really the world at large. You are not here by accident. So many things conspired to make you possible. And also your imagination, your creativity, your potential, your experience is so unique, so dynamic. It's never existed before in human history and will never exist after. You are special. This moment is special. And of course, there can be times of great challenge. There can be times of incredible odds that we're facing, but we are capable. There cannot be a problem without a solution. It's two sides of the same coin. The solution exists. But oftentimes we have to get ourselves to the place where we can actually see what's already there. And I'm going to continue to bring voices for you to remind you of that and just continue that thread myself. And I'm so grateful to be a part of your life and a part of your story. If you got a lot of value out of this episode, please share it out with the people you care about on social media. Tag me. I'm at Shawn Model. You can tag Jemal as well. He's at 9to5millionaire on his platforms as well. And let's just keep this conversation going. These are incredible people to have access to that this wouldn't have existed, 10, 20, 30 years ago. We didn't have access to this kind of information unless we went to, a random workshop and bought a course somewhere, find a random store. Now we have instant access to all of this knowledge, all of this experience. And it's not just from our own experience. We can learn from other people, other people's mistakes, and also other people's successes, and add that. I love that statement of standing on the shoulder of giants. And this is a time to really do that, to incorporate as many perspectives as we can, and to diversify our thinking and diversify our actions, because it's really necessary. Again, I appreciate you so much for tuning into the show today. Share this out with everybody you care about. We've got some epic shows coming your way very soon, so make sure to stay tuned. Take care, have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon. This isn't bad for you. It's part of a complete breakfast. Then all of a sudden they were like, forget it. We're just gonna make a bowl of cookies. Now, if we look at the ingredients of Cookie Crisp as they stand today, it's number one, whole grain corn, which breaks down into sugar. Sugar, which is sugar. Cornmeal, which breaks down to sugar. Yellow corn flour, sugar.